Good evening, everyone. This is Flagler Weather Update and Flagler Weather Info, rather, with the Flagler Weather Update. And this is the 27th of September, 2025. This is our regular weekly update that we typically do over the weekend, but we're going to also talk about the tropics. So, right now, we're looking at satellite imagery of Tropical Depression number 9. And it's kind of hard to tell where the center is, but it's right around here. And you can tell it's still kind of a bit of a mess. You don't really see one concentrated area of showers and thunderstorms, which you'd like to see in a well organized tropical system. So, with that being said, this is getting its act together. And you can see a little bit of banding there going on. And the National Hurricane Center believes this will strengthen to Tropical Storm Imelda by tomorrow. With that being said, their forecast abilities on strengthening are not as strong as they are with where it's going to go. So if they have, the National Hurricane Center has a little bit of weakness, it's on intensification. That's why sometimes these storms can intensify very rapidly or not rapidly at all, and that's just difficult to forecast. So let's get into the tropics right now. And first, we're going to pop over to Umberto because Umberto is quite an impressive storm. So as of 5 o'clock, Umberto was a Category 5 hurricane with 160 mile per hour sustained winds. It's going to go ahead and continue moving northwest, eventually kicking off to the northeast. Fortunately, really not a problem for anybody, for the exception of Bermuda. If I was in Bermuda, I'd be a little concerned with this one because the center could go anywhere in that cone. So, and the cone doesn't represent where the weather's going to go. So, Bermuda may have to dodge this one, and that is not our biggest concern here, but just a point of interest. So, let's get to Tropical Depression number 9. And we'll go ahead and get ready to the latest information, the intermediate advisory that came out at 8 o'clock. And right now we got the sustained winds at 35 miles an hour. It is moving northwest at 5 miles per hour. And you can see with the S here in the graphics, they're expecting it to become a tropical storm by tomorrow maybe. And all these blue areas is where there's tropical storm warnings in place. There is a tropical storm watch for the east coast of Florida from about Ormond Beach, just south of our county line, down to just south of Stewart. That does not include Flagler County. There are tropical storm watches for the ocean, for the coastal waters, but that does not include Flagler County land areas. So there could be a little bit of confusion about that, but I'll get more into details on that in just a moment. But with that being said, the center of the tropical cyclone is expected to continue on a west-northwest course, a north-northwest course, taking it into the Bahamas, a little bit slower than originally forecast. Center of it getting into the northwest Bahamas, somewhere in the cone. Remember, the center can go anywhere in the cone. Getting into the northwest Bahamas by very early Monday, and then be essentially off the, directly east of Flagler County as a hurricane by 2 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. But now, when you see this big puffy cone here, so that generally means, as the cone gets wider, they have less and less confidence in where it's going to be. So remember, the center could be anywhere in the cone, meaning it could be along the very far left side of it, which brings it closer to us, or it could be further off on the right side of it, which brings it further away. So that's why there's still some uncertainty on exactly what kind of weather we're going to see here in Flagler County with this system. And we're going to get into the details of what things look like as of right now. And keep in mind that things can change. So by 2 o'clock Thursday, it could be wandering out here offshore someplace out to sea. Now, we have another weather system that's going to be a role player, and by the end of the week here, that's going to possibly bring us maybe stronger winds than what this is going to bring us, and I will talk about that here in just a moment. So, folks that's joining us, if you've missed the first part, you can rewind. So, let's go ahead and we'll talk about the wind risk right now. So, this tells us, has it been updated yet? It looks like it... No, this is still not updated yet. But anyways, the risk of sustained tropical storm force winds right now is about 20% or so for Flagler County, typically the coastal areas. This is the map you really want to watch. So the brighter the colors or the hotter the colors are, the better chances of seeing sustained tropical storm force winds. That's winds 39 miles an hour or stronger in at least 1 minute of that. So if you get 1 minute of a wind speed, that's your sustained wind. So if you get 1 minute of winds at 40 miles an hour at the beach, you've had your sustained tropical storm force winds, albeit very briefly. But that's what that means. You can see that right here, 1 minute average of 39 or greater. And now this one here, this is of course Umberto. You can see this area here in Bermuda is pretty close to that higher risk of sustained tropical storm force winds. That's what I'm saying. Folks in Bermuda need to be paying attention to what Umberto does. This one here, the higher risk are offshore. So what about damaging winds? Right now, again, this graphic I know is they're showing about a 5% chance, but I just saw the latest probabilities. It's actually 0. So this graphic just not has been updated yet. And if we go to hurricane force wind probabilities, you can see all that is offshore. So if I go to the latest wind probabilities, this is going to be kind of hard to see, but I will tell you what it is. So if you find Daytona Beach, which is the closest point to us, and I look through here, and the cumulative amount of chances of sustained tropical storm force winds is 20%. So the chances of the highest day looks to be Tuesday. So with about a 19% chance of that. Now, this is what we need to watch is, do these percent chances, do they stabilize? Do they get higher or do they get lower? They've been kind of flexing around. They were like about 11% yesterday, and then it went up to about 28%, and then it came back down to about 20%, and they've been steady right around there. So that's where that stands right now. So rainfall from this is rainfall just for this system, because we're gonna talk about rain because there's something else coming. Anyways, we're looking at maybe 2 to 4 inches of rain possible from this. But again, this graphic will also be updated. This was updated this afternoon at about 4 o'clock. And maybe 2 to 4 inches of rain. That's really not that big of a deal unless it comes down all at once. So, and that's the coastal areas there. So there's that low wind risk of maybe some quick flash flooding associated with this tropical system as it moves by. Now, again, depending on exactly where it goes will drive how much rain we get. So these rainfall numbers can increase or decrease with time. So that's and just a quick review of the key messages here. And again, just focusing on things that have to do with us. There's a threat of heavy rainfall early next week, portions of the east coast of Florida and then into the Carolinas. That's the main thing here. But the main problem for us is going to be the risk of rough surf. So let's talk about that. So this is graphical forecast from the National Weather Service, and this is about 5 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, about 3-foot seas offshore. Can I get a little closer? Yes, I can. About 3-foot seas offshore. So if we advance this and let's get to about, where are we now? So let's get this to right about 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. Now we're looking at 3 to 4 foot seas and surf off the East Coast here. So let's go ahead and increase this, bring this to Monday at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You notice that now we're starting to see the surf start to increase and waves starting to increase offshore. And this is where the biggest concern for this is going to be is the offshore waters. And that's where the worst conditions are going to be, the most dangerous conditions will be. As long as the forecast holds together. Remember, everything I'm showing you here can change. So if we bring this to maybe into, what time we're looking at now? So about 5 o'clock Monday afternoon. Now we're looking at surf getting up to 9 feet along the coast here and getting, up to 15 feet offshore. So zooming in here a little bit now, so you can see that's when the rough surf looks to be approaching us, is right around as we get into Monday afternoon and into Tuesday. And going a little bit further now, But now, as we, what time is this? This is about 11 o'clock Tuesday morning. We start to see things start to improve with the surf starting to come down as this starts to move away. So, and an improvement as we get into Wednesday with the surf. So, it looks like Monday looks to be the worst. And I'm going to get to the winds. Hi, Kim. I'm going to get to the winds. Just hang on just a moment. So, I'm going to get to that. So, matter of fact, that's a good segue. So, we're going to go right into winds. Let's go ahead and talk about that right now since somebody asked. I will not make you wait. So this is the wind gust. This is not sustained winds. This is expected wind gust in the next several days. For tomorrow, we're looking at gusts up to 22 miles per hour along the coast. That's not really that big of a deal. That's what I'm saying. The main story with this is going to be the ocean. So we're looking about 22 miles per hour here, but pay attention because there's something else coming behind this, and that's the one thing I want to make sure you folks are aware of there. So as we get into Monday, and now we're gusting up to 30 miles an hour, 32 at Marineland, 30 at Flagler Beach, Beverly Beach, actually Flagler Beach 29, Beverly Beach, and then gusting into the 20s inland. So Monday looks to be kind of a breezy day, and as we get into Tuesday, we're still gusting up into the near 30 miles per hour and mid 20s inland. So again, we're not bring the trash cans in if you have anything really lightweight, and this does not account for any squalls or showers or thunderstorms, which could potentially have a brief gust or squall that could be stronger than these numbers that are represented here. But so we get to Wednesday, and we're still gusting up into the 30s. But I want you to look at Thursday. This is not part of the tropical system. This is a nor'easter that's forecast to move into the area. So Thursday, we're talking gusts to gale force along the beaches here. Gust up to 40 miles an hour in Beverly Beach, Flagler Beach, Marineland gusting up to 28. So it's going to get a little lively towards the end of the week, according to what the National Weather Service is advertising. So after the tropical system, Imelda, whatever it becomes, is gone, high pressure is going to build in behind it. And the pressure differences between that and the front in the area is going to set off this nor'easter and bring these stronger winds. So this is Thursday. We're gusting up to gale force at the beaches. So that's what I'm saying. Just don't worry about the tropical system. Be mindful of what's coming behind it. Even on Friday, we're still gusting into the upper 30s along the beaches here in Flagler Beach, Marineland, and Marineland a little bit less, but I will argue that Marineland will probably be stronger than what's represented. They're pretty exposed up there. So let's look at rainfall amounts now. So let's get to rain chances for tomorrow. Now tonight, there still will be maybe a 40% chance of a shower or maybe a thunderstorm overnight. And as we get into tomorrow, look for about a 60% chance of showers, maybe a thunderstorm throughout the course of the day. And they'll be, they'll come and they'll go. It's not going to be a washout. It's not going to rain the entire time. Tomorrow night, we now start to see rain chances increasing right along the beaches as whatever the tropical system is going to do starts passing us by. We start picking up that moisture. So about a 70% chance along the coast. Those rain chances decrease as you go inland. Now, as we go into Monday, about a 60% chance, 65% chance, higher chances along the coast. So that's where the rain's going to be coming from. And they'll come in bands of showers and maybe some thunderstorms thrown in for good measure. And as we get into Monday night, we're still, pretty substantial rain chances, about 40-50% chance. Now, as we get into Tuesday, about a 40% chance. So things dry out a little bit then. Again, Tuesday night, rain chances go down. Rain chances go down on Wednesday, but as we get into Thursday, those rain chances start to increase again, getting into about a 50% chance of rain. And as we get by Friday, we're seeing about a 50% chance of rain. Now let's look at rainfall amounts. So as we're talking the next 24 hours, maybe ½ inch to an inch. We're talking next 1 to 2 days, maybe 1.5 inches or so in some places. For over 2 days, 1.5 inches is not really that big of a deal. Now, if you get 1.5 inches like in 20 minutes, then yes, you will have some flooding issues. Now, look at this. This takes us into Tuesday. Now we're getting 2 to 3 inch rainfall amounts. Some of this from the tropical system, some of this maybe from the nor'easter. So 2 to 3 inches of rain. We're getting into takes us into we were just there. Getting into Wednesday, now we're talking 2 to 3 inches of rain still. We're getting into Thursday now. Now we're up to 3 to 4 inches of rain along the coast here. And we're getting, let's go for the entire week now. This takes us into next Saturday. 4 to 6 inches of rain possible along coastal locations. And again, some of this from the tropical system, some of this from the potential nor'easter. I want to emphasize that this forecast can change quite a bit. This is 7 days off, so these rainfall amount numbers may go up or go down depending on how things shake out. So don't get locked into it. But, if you live in an area that sees some problems with flooding, you just might want to keep an eye on all of this. So talk about temperatures briefly. That's not really going to be that big of a deal. But tomorrow we're up in the 80s countywide, and we kind of stay like that. And then as we go through the week, at night we're down into the 70s or so at night. Now we get down, as with the wind coming behind that, coming out of the north, mid 80s for highs, maybe at the middle part of the week. Lows, look at this, even getting into some upper 60s inland by Wednesday. And then as we get into Friday, yeah, even some upper 60s inland, but warmer at the beaches there, where the ocean temperature is 83 degrees. So no big deals on the temperatures, generally staying in the 80s for highs, in the 70s for lows, maybe some upper 60s inland. So going ahead, let's take a look into the future and taking a look at October. So we're looking at above normal temperatures. We're looking at above normal temperatures on the average in Florida, and maybe near normal precipitation for the month of October. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm staying corrected. This is seasonal outlook. This is the next 3 months. October is looking for above normal precipitation over Florida and above normal temperatures on the average. So, let's get out of here. Let's go to the next slide. So looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, this takes us into the first week of October. Look for temperatures to be averaging above normal. Look for precipitation chances also to be averaging above normal. Now, just a quick look and to bounce back to the tropical weather, and this shows us where the tropical storm watches are. So again, no tropical storm watches for Flagler County on the land areas right now, but there are in place from the county line south. I know this can be a little confusing. How does it just abruptly stop there? Well, when they issue these watches, they have a pretty good buffer zone, so not everywhere in the watch or the warning is going to see those effects. So basically somewhere in the watch zone. And this may get extended further on depending on what the storm does. So we'll have to see what happens. Forecast discussion I read just before doing this video mentioned a possibility, and it might just go with wind advisories along the East Coast tomorrow, maybe Monday. We'll have to see how it shakes out. But the coastal waters do have a tropical storm watch, and that means that within 48 hours, tropical storm conditions are possible anywhere in this pink area. That's what this means. So, again, focusing on the main messages for the area. So wind gusts up to 45 knots will be possible. For the offshore waters, it's up to 55 miles per hour. Gusts to 35 to 40 knots. Coastal waters, it's gust up to 40 to 45 for the waters, not necessarily inland areas. Immediate beaches will probably see some localized gales, but that's probably as far as it's going to go, depending on the forecast. So dangerous beach and boating conditions can be expected to develop late Sunday and persist into early next week, and then persist through the week. Tropical storm conditions are possible over coastal waters beginning Monday, and the monitor forecast from hurricanes.gov. That's where we get all of our information, hurricanes.gov. That's right where you want to go for official information. So to wrap things up, we're taking a look at current weather right now. We do see some thunderstorms off to the west of us. Thunderstorms offshore. If you step outside, you might see some of that lightning flashing out there. So as of right now, 9:30 tonight on the 27th, there are no tropical storm watches or warnings for Flagler County. It looks like that this week is going to be somewhat unsettled, even after the tropical system gets out of the picture. That looks like things will be changeable and unsettled. Breezy to gusty winds at the beaches, and that'll be a thing probably a good part of the week, especially towards the end part of the week. This is going to wrap it up. Everyone, thank you for watching. If you missed it, you can rewind. We'll also be posting the link to our YouTube, which will have this entire briefing in here. And again, we'll be focusing on the tropics, but also keeping you updated on other weather. Look for a couple short updates tomorrow. Our next big update will be expected on Wednesday, but if anything really changes with the tropics, we'll, of course, do these updates while we can. Everybody out there, have a great evening, and thank you.